Hello everybody, David Schuster here. Billionaires may be good at making money, but they can still be really stupid, and it often boomerangs on them. Headline: Bill Ackman warns world is on brink of self-induced economic nuclear winter, begs Trump to pause tariffs. Here is Ackman 4 months ago, heading into the Trump administration.
We're stepping into, I would say, the most pro-growth, pro-business, pro-American administration I've perhaps seen in my adult lifetime, certainly.
The most pro-growth administration you have seen in your lifetime.
Fox News Alert, 3 minutes into the open of trade here in the U.S. markets. The Dow is out of the gate down about 1,250 points. That's just more than a 3% sell-off there.
I think the overarching theme is President Trump will do nothing that interferes with the success of the country.
President Trump will do nothing that will interfere with the success of the country?
If you look at it from the record highs that we saw back on February 19th, that same data shows a nearly $11 trillion drop in the value of the stock market here in America since those record highs.
Well, and I think he's going to be very thoughtful about tariffs.
You do?
I think it's a very powerful tool that can be used to level the playing field. I think that's what he wants. He wants a level playing field for the country.
Apparently, $11 trillion in losses is enough to get Bill Ackman's attention, or at least wake him up from his Trump-induced stupor.
President Trump says his tariffs are working and he is not backing down. But hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman, who endorsed Donald Trump for the first time this election, disagrees.
The investor warning: the president has an opportunity to call a 90-day timeout, negotiate, and resolve unfair asymmetric tariff deals. We're heading for a self-induced economic nuclear winter, and we should start hunkering down.
A self-induced nuclear winter. There are flip-flops, and then there's Bill Ackman. Good grief, man. Now, to be fair, Ackman is not the only billionaire who was speaking out against the Trump tariffs after licking Trump's butt in the 2024 campaign and beyond. Elon Musk said over the weekend that he wants a zero tariff situation between the United States and Europe. And JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, a Trump supporter, just released a letter to investors warning the Trump tariffs would raise prices and possibly tip the United States into a recession. A few months ago, Dimon had no concerns about the coming Trump tariffs.
Yeah, look, I look at tariffs. They are an economic tool. That's it. They're an economic weapon, depending on how you use it and why you use it and stuff like that. And, people argue, is it inflationary and non-inflationary? I would put in perspective, if it's a little inflationary, but it's good for national security, so be it. I mean, get over it. National security trumps a little bit more inflation, but I think the question is how they get used.
Now, Dimon and countless other Wall Street investors think the Trump tariffs are being used horrifically. They have called the tariffs haphazard, reckless, and extreme. So as the markets plunge, a lot of wealthy Trump supporters who were singing Trump's praises just a few weeks ago are now wailing. The Trump administration keeps sending out various cabinet secretaries and advisors to appear on television and try to defend the Trump trade wars, but their messages often clash. And the overall effort is getting slammed by economic analysts who actually know this stuff. First, here are a few samples of the recent Trump administration rhetoric.
The market will find a bottom. It will be soon. And from there, we're going to have a bullish boom.
There doesn't have to be a recession. Who knows how the market is going to react in a day, in a week.
You need to reset the power of the United States of America and reset it against all our allies and our enemies alike.
It's a strategy to create a golden age in America for the American worker. That's his strategy.
A strategy with no details. All these advisors seem to be talking past each other.
Look at his face.
Richard,
his head buried in his hands, literally.
And it's only Monday.
There doesn't have to be a recession, says the U.S. Treasury Secretary. He's right. There doesn't have to be a recession. The only problem is economic circumstances have now been put in place that most Wall Street economists of senior note say are likely to cause a recession. Goldman and others now say it's up to 60%.
And there are some Wall Street bigwigs who are saying we are already in a recession. Technically, though, the label only gets applied after there have been 2 consecutive quarters of negative gross domestic product. So even if GDP is already contracting, the term recession will not get officially applied until the end of September. In the meantime, everybody on Wall Street is already signaling some steps that Trump could take to turn things around immediately. Here's the example from trading on this day.
Now, you see that green spike? That is where there was a rumor that the administration was going to pause by 90 days the tariffs. Well, it was just a rumor, and the market found it was a rumor and then promptly turned in the absolute opposite direction. But now let's forget rumors. Now we have a fact. Donald Trump says he's going to increase by 50% the tariffs on China tomorrow because they've had the temerity to retaliate with the 34% tit for tat that they did. So, you want a trade war? This is what it looks like.
And in a trade war, each response, each reciprocal tariff causes even more damage. And for all the hyperbole from Trump advisors Navarro, Lutnick, Scott Bessent, and the rest claiming it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fantastic. No. The reality is that U.S. markets are crashing, and the disruption could wipe out jobs, freeze investment, and trigger even more panic. And it's all so obvious that even billionaire Trump supporters are now eating their words. Instead of the success they proclaimed America would get from Trump, all of us are staring at an economic mushroom cloud. And Donald Trump triggered this disaster by himself. Although, of course, with a little help from those billionaires supporting his campaign along the way. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.